Princess Valera used to live in a shining palace made of crystal and silver. She had servants, guards, and 1,000 dresses. Her people called her the Starborn, and they believed she would one day rule the Arxian Dominion, a powerful empire that spread across many galaxies. But all of that was gone now. The war had taken everything. Now she lived on a quiet mining moon called Relin 4, under a fake name, Vaelin. Her home was a small metal shelter with broken heating, dusty walls, and no windows. She shared it with 2 silent guards who followed her everywhere. They never spoke unless it was important. They only called her Ma'am. Vaelin worked at a local data center, pretending to be a low-level translator. Every day, she wore a hood and dark glasses to hide her bright silver eyes, the eyes of royalty. She didn't look like a princess anymore. She looked like a tired worker trying to survive. She hated this life, but she accepted it. It was better than being dead. The Arxian Dominion had fallen 5 years ago, crushed by the humans during the Zenith War. The humans had fought like animals, fast, smart, and dangerous. They had no powerful ships like the Dominion, no magic-like tech, but they used everything they had with one goal: survive. And somehow they won. A human soldier, no one knew his real name, led the final attack that destroyed the Dominion's war fleet. They called him the Ghost of Titan, a name spoken with fear and respect. Arxians called him a demon. Humans called him a hero. Valera had never seen his face. But late at night, she wondered. She thought about her childhood before the war, about her old palace, the garden, the moonlight pools where she used to swim. And she thought about him. Jace, a human boy who had lived with her in the palace for a short time when they were children. He was an orphan sent by Earth for a peace program. They had played together, laughed together. He taught her how to whistle. She taught him how to read Arxian runes. One night, they watched the stars from her tower. "I'll always protect you," he had said, small hand holding hers. She smiled at the memory, even though it hurt. He disappeared when the war began. She never saw him again. And now, the war was over. The Dominion was in ruins. She was in hiding. And the galaxy spoke of a faceless human who ended it all. A human with no name, no past, no mercy. But somewhere deep in her heart, a thought kept returning. What if the Ghost of Titan was him? What if her childhood friend, Jace, was the same soldier who had destroyed her world? And if he was, why had he spared her? The galaxy was quiet now, but it was not peaceful. Many planets were still rebuilding after the Zenith War. Cities had been turned to ash. Starships floated like skeletons in deep space. People on all sides had lost family, homes, and hope. But one name kept spreading across the stars like fire in dry grass. The Ghost of Titan. No one knew who he really was. Some said he was a Terran super soldier, trained since birth. Others believed he was part machine, part man. There were even stories that he died in battle, but came back again and again, a ghost that couldn't be killed. On the news, people argued if he was a hero or a monster. He had destroyed the largest Arxian fleet at Battle of Titan Gate, a battle that ended the war. It was a suicide mission, yet he came back alive. He had no face, no name, only a call sign, Revenant One. Some humans celebrated him with statues and songs. Some Arxians whispered his name like a curse. But to Valera, the name brought one feeling: doubt. Could it really be him? Could this cold, deadly warrior be the same boy who once made her laugh by drawing funny faces in the air with light pens? She didn't want to believe it. And yet, her heart said otherwise. Every night, she watched the reports on her data screen. The way he fought, the decisions he made, they felt familiar. He protected civilians. He avoided killing when possible. He didn't destroy cities unless he had no other choice. Even his silence was familiar. Jace had always been quiet, but sharp. He noticed things others didn't. He watched the stars like they held secrets just for him. And then there were the rumors, the strange ones. Some survivors from Arxian outposts claimed the ghost had let them live. One Dominion officer swore he saw the soldier walk past a captured Arxian girl without hurting her, just stared at her, frozen, like he remembered something. When the officer tried to ask him who he was, the ghost only said one thing: "She was never my enemy." Valera's heart pounded when she read that. She? Who was she? The thought haunted her. It felt like a clue, like a piece of a puzzle from a lifetime ago. The more she thought about it, the more she had to know the truth. So she made a choice. She would leave Relin 4. She would find out who the ghost really was, not just for answers, but for herself, for her past, for that boy who once sat beside her under a blue moon and promised to protect her forever. If he was truly Jace, then she had to find him, no matter the danger. Because if he remembered her, then maybe, just maybe, he wasn't lost. Not completely. The sky above Arxis Prime was still black with smoke. Once, this planet had been the heart of the Arxian Dominion. Beautiful towers had stretched toward the stars. Rivers of light had flowed through the cities like silver veins. Music had filled the air, and the people had danced in joy. Now it was a graveyard. Princess Valera stood on a broken hill, wearing a long brown cloak. She looked down at the ruins of her home. The wind blew ash across her boots. Buildings were crushed, metal was twisted, and the air smelled like fire that had never gone out. Her bodyguards had begged her not to come. But she had to see it for herself. She had to see what the ghost of Titan had done. She stepped carefully through the remains of the royal palace, the place where she was born, where she had played with Jace as a child. Every corner held a memory, some warm, some painful. She reached the remains of her old bedroom tower, now just a skeleton of walls and beams. Dust covered the floor, and parts of the ceiling were open to the stars. She found something half buried under a pile of rubble, a small broken light cube. It was a toy. Her toy. When she touched it, it flickered weakly and showed a tiny projection. 2 children laughing under a night sky. One was her, the other was a human boy. Her hands shook. Then she saw it, a message carved into the metal wall beside the cube. 3 words. Simple, human words, written in Terran script. Still watching stars. Valera stared at the words for a long time. Her heart raced. She touched them gently, as if they might vanish. Only one person ever said that to her. Jace. Whenever they stargazed together, he used to whisper, "Still watching stars with you." The ghost had been here, and he remembered. She sat down slowly on a broken chair, the cold metal biting through her cloak. She wanted to cry, but she couldn't. Not yet. This wasn't just war. This wasn't random destruction. This was personal. He had come back. He had stood here, and he had left her a message. Not a warning, not a threat, a memory, a promise. That night, as her guards set up camp in the ruins, Valera looked up at the stars. They were the same stars she and Jace used to dream under. The stars they used to name and trace with their fingers. Somewhere out there, he was watching them too. She was sure of it now. The ghost of Titan wasn't just a soldier. He was Jace, and he hadn't forgotten her. Valera couldn't sleep that night. She sat near the ruins of her childhood tower, wrapped in her cloak, staring at the stars. The wind was cold, but her thoughts were louder than the wind. She kept seeing his face, not the face of the ghost, but the boy she once knew. Jace. He had been small for his age, always quiet but full of strange questions. He loved machines. He used to take apart old droids just to see how they worked, then put them back together better than before. The palace staff thought he was odd, but Valera liked him. He never treated her like a princess. He treated her like a friend. She remembered the day he arrived. He had dirt on his face and a ripped shirt, but his eyes were sharp and curious. Her father, the Emperor, had allowed a few human children to live in the palace as part of a peace plan with Earth. Most didn't last long, but Jace stayed. For almost 2 years, he was her closest friend. They made up secret games. They played in the gardens and sometimes snuck into the hangars to look at ships. Valera showed him how to write his name in Arxian script. He showed her how to throw a rock so it skipped across the lake like magic. But the best moments were at night. They would lie on the glass roof of the palace and watch the sky. Jace used to point out different stars and name them things like Fairytale, Snowball, or Whisper. He told her once, "Even if I leave, I'll still watch the stars. It's like staying close to you." She never forgot that. And then, one day, he was gone. The war started without warning. Her planet was attacked. Human ships broke through the defense ring. In the chaos, all the human children were taken away. Some escaped, some were captured. She never saw Jace again. The palace said he had been sent back to Earth. Some guards said he died. Others said nothing. The Emperor didn't care. He was too busy planning revenge. Now, 5 years later, she knew the truth. Jace hadn't died. He had become something else. A soldier, a killer, a legend, the ghost of Titan. But why? What happened to him after he left? Who trained him? Who turned the boy who loved stars into a weapon that broke empires? Valera knew one thing. She needed answers. And not from books or old files. She needed to find him. The boy she once knew. The man he had become. If he left her a message, it meant something. Maybe he still cared. Maybe he still remembered the promise they made. Still watching stars, Valera looked up at the night sky again. "Wait for me, Jace," she whispered. "I'm coming." The city of Draymore was cold and dark. It floated above the gas giant Sether, built on metal platforms and wind turbines. Storms roared below it every hour, shaking the ground with deep thunder. But it was the perfect place for secrets and for hiding. Valera had come here chasing a name. A human contact had whispered to her, "If you want to find the ghost, start in Draymore. Ask for the Black Echo." She didn't know who or what that was, but it was her only lead. She walked alone through the narrow metal streets, her hood pulled low. Every corner had cameras. Drones hovered overhead like flies. The people were rough, pirates, smugglers, mercenaries. No one trusted anyone. Everyone carried a weapon. She entered a quiet bar called the Broken Signal. The lights inside were red and dim. The bartender didn't speak, only pointed to a back table. She waited. Then everything happened fast. A loud crash, a sharp flash. Her guards were dead before they hit the floor. 3 figures in black armor dropped from the ceiling, guns ready. Their faces were hidden behind smooth masks. Their movements were fast, too fast. Assassins. One pointed a knife at her throat. "No screams," he said. "You're worth more alive." But before he could move again, a shadow appeared behind him. Silent, fast, deadly. A 4th figure, dressed in black like the others, but different. This one fought like a ghost. In seconds, 2 assassins were down. The 3rd turned to shoot but was knocked out cold with 1 punch. Valera stared in shock. The stranger turned to her slowly. His armor was scratched and dirty, marked with old blood and burns. His helmet covered his face, but his body language felt familiar. Too familiar. He didn't speak, didn't even move closer. He only reached into a small pouch on his belt and tossed something at her feet. It was a metal coin, an old one. It had the symbol of the Arxian royal family on one side, and on the other side, a star. The same star she and Jace had named Whisper as children. Her lips parted in surprise. She looked up, ready to ask, "Jace." But he was already walking away. "Wait," she called out. "Please, was it you in the palace ruins? Did you leave the message?" He paused at the door. Without turning around, he spoke just 4 words, low and rough through his helmet. "Stop looking for ghosts." Then he was gone, vanished into the storm outside. Valera stood frozen, holding the coin tightly in her hand. She knew it now. The ghost of Titan wasn't just Jace. He was watching her, protecting her. But why wouldn't he face her? What was he hiding? And what had he become? Valera could not stop thinking about that moment. The way he moved, the way he spoke, the coin. It was Jace. She was sure of it. But why was he hiding? Why wouldn't he talk to her? What had happened to him? She sat alone in a quiet spaceport hotel on the edge of Draymore, turning the coin over and over in her hands. The star on it, Whisper, was their secret. No one else could have known. He remembered. That meant he still cared. But he was also a killer now. She needed answers. So she turned to her last hope, an old Archean spy drone she had hidden long ago during the war. It was damaged, dusty, and half-broken, but its memory chip still worked. She connected it to her tablet and searched for anything about Revenant 1, the call sign of the Ghost of Titan. After a few minutes, a locked file appeared. Project Revenant, classified. Terran Military Science Division. Access: Level Omega or higher. Valera's royal code was still valid for some systems. She used it. The file opened. Her breath caught. Project Revenant was not just a soldier training program. It was a secret Terran experiment. They had taken orphaned children from war zones, humans, mostly, children who had nothing, no names, no families. They erased their pasts and trained them to be perfect weapons. Fast reflexes, no fear, no emotion, just commands and execution. Jace was one of them. The file listed his ID. Subject 9, Jace Foreign. Status: active. Code name: Revenant 1. She felt her heart twist. They had turned him into this. No wonder he didn't speak. No wonder he wore a mask. They had broken him, taken a kind, curious boy, and filled him with pain and silence. But something didn't make sense. The report showed one detail she didn't expect. Subject 9 had broken protocol many times. He avoided civilian casualties. He rescued enemy children during missions. He refused to fire on surrendering soldiers. That wasn't a weapon. That was Jace. He was still inside the armor, still human. But he was running. From the Terran army, from his past, maybe even from her. She whispered to the screen, "You didn't forget who you are." A quiet knock came at the door. She grabbed her weapon. But it was only a messenger droid. It floated in and dropped a small holodisk into her hand. A message. She played it. The image showed a map, coordinates, deep space, an old research station in the abandoned Vale Nebula. Below the map, just 3 words were written: Final Memory Lives. No name, no sender, but she knew who it was. Jace was leading her somewhere, not to hurt her, but to show her the truth. The Vale Nebula was not a place people visited. It was cold, dark, and silent. Long ago, it was used for secret science experiments, but now it was abandoned. Ships that entered didn't always come back. Some said ghosts lived in the mist. Others believed something worse. But Valera wasn't afraid. She followed the coordinates Jace had given her. Her ship, the Silver Flame, cut through the thick fog. Purple clouds of dust drifted past the windows. Static danced across her controls. Everything felt wrong. "Systems are unstable," her pilot said. "We shouldn't be here long." "We won't be," Valera replied, eyes locked on the view ahead. And then it appeared. A large, silent structure floating in the mist. The Revenant Research Station. It looked like a giant broken spider, long legs of metal, twisted arms reaching into space, lights flickering weakly. No movement, no signal. But Valera knew Jace had been near. She docked the ship and entered the station alone. wearing her breathing mask and light armor. The inside was cold and dark. Broken wires hung from the ceiling. Walls were scratched. Bullet marks covered the doors. She walked carefully, her boots echoing on the metal floor. And then, a light flickered on. A small holo projector in the corner blinked to life, showing a flickering image. Jace. But not the soldier. Not the ghost. A young boy. Barely 12. He sat in a metal room, arms wrapped around his knees. He looked scared. Lonely. His voice was soft. "My name is Jace Voren. I don't remember my parents. They say that's good. They say I'll be better this way. But I remember a girl with silver eyes. She taught me how to say star in Arxian. I don't know if she's real." Valera's heart stopped. He remembered her. Even after all the brainwashing, even after they tried to erase his past, he remembered. More recordings appeared as she walked deeper into the station. Each one showed pieces of Jace's past. His training, his missions, his pain, his fights to stay human. "I don't like hurting people," one video showed him saying. "But they say it's the only way to be useful." Then, in the final room, she saw it. A message, left just for her. Jace stood there in the hologram, older now, wearing the black armor. But his helmet was off. He looked tired, eyes hollow. But when he spoke, his voice was clear. "Valera, if you're watching this, then I couldn't face you. Not yet. But I need you to know. I didn't forget you. I didn't forget us. The stars, they kept me alive." He paused. "I think they're coming for me now. Earth doesn't like runaways. But I won't hide forever. I just need time. I need to remember how to be me again." The message ended. Tears filled Valera's eyes. She knew now, Jace was still fighting. Not just enemies, but himself. And she wasn't going to let him fight alone. The moment Valera left the Revenant station, everything changed. Her ship, Silver Flame, barely made it out of the Veil Nebula. The mist behind her began to glow. Bright, blue, unnatural. She knew what it meant. They were tracking her. Earth's military. Jace had warned her. Earth doesn't like runaways. Now they knew she had found him. And they were watching her. Back on her cruiser, Valera stared at the flickering message again. Jace's voice played in her ears like a ghost. "I just need time. I need to remember how to be me again." But time was running out. Within hours, her ship's scanners picked up 3 Terran destroyers entering the sector. Their weapons were armed. They sent one message: "Surrender the data you recovered, and any information on Revenant 1. Valera stood on the bridge, her face calm, but her heart racing. "Lie to them," her guard captain whispered. "We can tell them the station was empty." "No," she said. "That won't work. They know he left the message for me. They'll never believe I found nothing." "Then what do we do?" She looked out at the cold black stars. For the first time in years, she knew what her purpose was. "We protect him." The captain blinked. "Princess, if you do this, Earth will call it treason. They'll attack. You'll risk another war." Valera nodded. "I know." She sent her reply to the Terran fleet herself. "Revenant 1 is not your weapon anymore. He is a person I once knew, a person I still believe in. You will not touch him again." There was silence. Then the Terran admiral responded, his face like stone on the screen. "That's unfortunate. You've made your choice, Arxian. There will be consequences." Within minutes, the ships began to move, closer, faster. Valera turned to her crew. "Prepare for jump. We're going dark." They activated a stealth drive and vanished into a nearby asteroid field, just before the first missiles were launched. Explosions rocked the void behind them. But they escaped. For now. Later, in her private chamber, Valera sat alone. She held the coin again. Whisper, "Their star." She stared at it for a long time. "He's worth protecting," she whispered. "Even if the galaxy forgets who he is, I won't." She sent a message through deep space channels. It would take time to reach him, but she hoped he would hear it. "Jace, they're hunting you now. But you're not alone. I'll stand with you, even if the stars fall." Somewhere far away, hidden in shadow, Jace watched the message flicker on his broken screen. For the first time in years, he smiled, just a little. And for the first time in years, he didn't feel like a ghost anymore. The war came quietly. No loud warnings, no open battles, just shadows in the dark. Terran ships moved through neutral zones. Spies watched every Arxian signal. Whispered threats filled the deep channels of space. Earth wanted only one thing. Revenant won. But Vaylira refused to give him up. She stayed hidden, moving between old starbases and forgotten outposts. Her name, once royal, was now marked as a traitor. Bounty hunters searched for her. Some came close, but she always escaped. And then one day, she received a signal. It was simple. One word. Ready. She knew who it was. Jace. She flew alone this time. No guards, no weapons team. Just her and the memory of a boy who once showed her how to skip stones across a lake. The meeting point was a quiet moon, covered in white ash and silver trees. She landed her ship softly in a clearing. The sky above was full of stars. And there he stood. Jace. No armor, no helmet, just a long coat, worn boots, and a tired but real smile. Vaylira stepped down slowly, her breath caught in her chest. They stood in silence. For a long time. "You came," he said softly. "I told you I would," she replied. Jace looked different. Older, sharper. But his eyes, they were still the same. Curious, careful, and kind. "I didn't think you'd still remember me," he said, voice low. "I never forgot you," she said. "Even when they told me you were dead, even when you became the ghost, I knew." He nodded slowly. "They tried to erase everything. My name, my past, even you. But I held on. You were the one thing I wouldn't let go." A long pause passed between them. The wind blew the silver leaves around them. Then Vaylira reached into her pocket and held out the coin. "Whisper." He smiled. "You kept it," he said. "I always did." She stepped closer. "They're coming for you," she said. "For both of us. Earth won't stop." "I know it," he said, "but I'm done running." "What will you do?" He looked up at the stars. "I'll fight, but not for them. Not for revenge. I'll fight to stay human. To stay me. And if they come, I'll be ready." She looked at him with fierce eyes. "Then I'll stand with you." "You'll lose everything," he warned. "I already have," she said. "Except you." For a moment, the stars seemed to pause in the sky. Two friends, two survivors, once torn apart by war, now standing together beneath the stars. And for the first time since the fighting began, they weren't alone. The sky burned. Earth's fleet had arrived. 10 massive warships, armed with the deadliest weapons in the galaxy. They didn't send warnings this time. No offers, no peace. Just one command. Surrender, Revenant One, or be destroyed. Vaylira stood beside Jace on the edge of the white moon, watching the sky light up with ships and shadows. "They'd really want you back," she said. "They don't want me back," Jace replied. "They want me silent." He looked calm, but his fists were tight. His mind was clear. This was the end, or a new beginning. Vaylira turned to him. "I sent a signal to the old Arxian fleet. Some of them still believe in peace. They may come. And if they don't," Jace asked, "then we fight alone." Jace nodded. "Then we make it count." He put on his old armor one last time, not as Earth's weapon, but as a man who had taken his name back. No mask, no helmet, just his face, scarred, strong, human. Vaylira stood in her royal coat, silver eyes shining. 2 against an army. The first wave came fast. Drones and gunships. Jace moved like lightning, his body remembering every move, every weakness. He destroyed 3 before they could land. Valera covered him with shields, her tech armor glowing with Arxian energy. She was no longer just a princess. She was a protector. More ships came. Explosions shook the moon. Dust filled the sky. They kept fighting. Together. Jace was no longer Revenant One. He was Jace Vorin. He laughed, shouted, moved with fire in his heart. He wasn't just surviving now. He was living. But even the strongest warriors get tired. The final ship landed, huge, black, and deadly. From it came Earth's top enforcer, Commander Thorn, the man who trained Jace as a child. The man who broke him. He stepped forward, cold and cruel. "You are my best creation," Thorn said. "You belong to us." "I don't belong to anyone," Jace said. Thorn raised his weapon. But Valera stood between them. "You'll have to go through me first," she said. Thorn fired. Jace jumped in front of her. The blast hit him in the chest. He fell. Valera screamed. But before Thorn could shoot again, a light filled the sky. Dozens of Arxian ships dropped from hyperspace. Valera's signal had been answered. Fighters rained down from above. Missiles tore through Earth's fleet. Thorn tried to escape, but was caught in the fire. The war ended in minutes. Later, Valera knelt beside Jace. His armor was broken. Smoke rose from the cracks. But his eyes opened. "You came back," he whispered. "So did you," she said, smiling through tears. He reached out, and she took his hand. For the first time in years, the stars were quiet. The war was over. And together, beneath the night sky, the girl with silver eyes and the boy who became a ghost found peace. Not as weapons, not as royalty, but as friends. And maybe something more.